Las Vegas, the city of pleasure and the gambling capital of America. It's home to the biggest casinos in the world, and every one of them has a single goal: to rake in as much money from people as possible by any means necessary. Countless lives have been ruined in this city. These casinos operate under insanely advanced surveillance and security systems, sometimes even more complex than those used by governments and banks. All of it is designed with one goal in mind: to prevent cheating and maximize profits. But one man was about to take on the entire city. He managed to bypass all the high-tech systems and tight procedures the casinos had in place. He became the most notorious chip forger in history. Today's story dives into the world of gambling, a world often associated with pure evil. Casinos and their owners don't care about anything except making as much money as possible, even if that means destroying people's lives. And the man we're going to talk about today, his name is Eric Morikawa, an American of Japanese descent. In the year 2000, Eric Morikawa moved to Las Vegas. Not to gamble or chase the nightlife though, he was just a construction worker. At that time, Las Vegas was expanding rapidly. Hotels, resorts, and casinos were being built left and right, creating a huge demand for construction workers. Eric saw an opportunity and decided to start a small contracting company. He hired a few workers, landed some decent jobs, some big, some small, and everything seemed to be going well. One day, after a long and exhausting day at work, Eric went to a local game hall to relax, shoot some pool, and blow off steam. That's where he met a guy named Jeremy Lewis. They got to talking, and Eric quickly found out that Jeremy was looking for a job, but his criminal record made it nearly impossible. He'd been arrested multiple times in the past, with charges related to drugs and forgery, so no one wanted to hire him. Jeremy opened up to Eric, saying, "I'll do anything, I just need work." Eric, seeing some genuine drive in the guy, decided to give him a shot. He said, "I've got a small construction business. I need help and you seem motivated. I'll hire you and teach you the trade. Just show up and work hard." Jeremy was thrilled. He promised Eric he'd prove himself, and he did. He became a hard-working employee, and as the business grew, so did their friendship. The two became close, working side by side for years, with things going from good to great. That is, until 2004. That year, everything changed. The construction and real estate market in Vegas took a massive hit. Demand suddenly collapsed. Countless contracting companies started shutting down, and Eric's company was no exception. They barely had enough jobs to stay afloat. They started racking up debt, taking work wherever they could, even far outside their local area, just to survive. One day, Eric and Jeremy were driving home from a job when they saw a massive billboard for one of the Vegas casinos. The sign read, "Are you ready for a big win?" Next to it was a giant image of a $5,000 casino chip. Jeremy stared at it and Eric asked, "You think it would be hard to make something like that?" Jeremy responded, "I mean, it's just a plastic disc with some colors and numbers. Why, you got something in mind?" Eric opened up. He told Jeremy about the mounting debt, the lack of work, and how desperate he was getting. He admitted, "I've been having these thoughts. I know they're wrong, but I keep wondering, what if we just tried?" Jeremy's eyes lit up. This was familiar territory for him. Forgery was literally one of the things he'd been arrested for in the past. Fake IDs, counterfeit money, you name it. And now Eric, his old straight arrow friend, was talking about making fake casino chips? Jeremy was all in. And Eric? He needed some justification. So he convinced himself they wouldn't really be the bad guys. They weren't stealing from innocent people. They were stealing from casinos, giant money machines that profit off other people's misery. Eric thought, they deserve it. And that's how their chip forgery journey began. First, they hit up multiple casinos and bought chips of all colors and denominations to study them. Anyone can buy chips, take them home, but they're worthless outside the casino that issued them. Eric and Jeremy took the chips to Eric's garage, which became their workshop. They tore the chips apart, examined the materials inside. Casino chips are made from complex combinations: plastic, sand, clay, ceramic, acrylic, and even trace metals. They're manufactured using high heat and pressure in specialized machines that cost millions of dollars. The exact process is a closely guarded industry secret. Even though they figured out the general ingredients, they had no access to the proper machines, so they improvised. Using cheap tools, they mixed materials and experimented, trying to replicate the weight and feel of a real chip. They actually managed to get pretty close. Same texture, same weight. But there was one big problem: the sound. Real chips make a hollow plastic clack when dropped. Their fakes sounded dense, like rocks. That sound alone would give them away. So they tried again, and again, and again, but after dozens of failed attempts, they gave up on creating chips from scratch. That's when Eric had a genius idea. Why not just modify real chips? They took $1 chips, real ones, and started experimenting with changing the denomination. $1 and $100 chips were the exact same size and made from the same materials. Only the color and printed number were different, so they carefully removed the center label from $1 chips by soaking them in boiling water. That made the glue dissolve without damaging the chip. Now they had blank, authentic casino chips ready to be transformed. Next, they matched the color scheme of a $100 chip. They painted the $1 chips using spray paint, matched the exact shade under different lighting conditions, even recreated the black edge stripes with painter's tape and precision spraying. Once they nailed the look, all that was left was the center label. They scanned a real $100 chip, printed the design onto glossy plastic sticker paper, and glued it to the center. Now, visually, it was nearly identical to a real chip. But there was one last hurdle: security ink. Real chips had a UV feature, an invisible symbol that glowed under blacklight. In the Green Ranch Casino's case, it was a magician's hat in the center. So Eric bought a special UV pen and drew the symbol by hand on the fake chip. It wasn't perfect, but close enough. They made 3 counterfeit $100 chips and decided to test them at Green Ranch Casino. Of course, Eric was too nervous to go in. He'd crack under pressure. But Jeremy? He was used to playing this kind of role. He took the 3 chips and walked into the casino. He handed over the 3 fake $100 chips to the cashier, and his heart was pounding. But Jeremy kept his cool. He was used to pressure. The cashier took the chips and without any suspicion exchanged them for $300 in cash. That was the moment they both realized it worked. Jeremy left the casino like nothing had happened and met up with Morikawa, who was waiting anxiously in the car. When Jeremy showed him the money, Morikawa couldn't believe it. All their effort, the sleepless nights in the garage, the failed attempts, it had all finally paid off. From that moment on, things started to change. They began producing more fake chips, but they were cautious. They didn't want to flood the casinos with large numbers and raise suspicions. And by 2006, things were desperate. Morikawa was drowning in debt. His wife had left, taking the kids with her. The house was in foreclosure. Creditors were calling day and night. Every dollar he'd made from the chip scam had either been spent or seized. He tried to go legit again, back to construction, but Vegas wasn't the same. The housing bubble had burst and nobody was hiring. Even when he applied for low-wage jobs, they turned him down. His criminal record was a red flag. Meanwhile, Jeremy was still behind bars. He'd tried to cut a deal with prosecutors, but they wanted someone bigger. They suspected there might be a larger operation, a crime ring behind the counterfeit chips. But there wasn't. It was just 2 guys in a garage. The pressure was mounting on Morikawa from all sides. He was out on bail but still awaiting trial. His lawyer warned him, "They want to make an example out of you. If they can't get Jeremy to talk, they'll go all in on you." That's when the FBI got involved. Turns out, one of the fake chips had made its way across state lines. Someone had taken one to a tribal casino in Arizona and tried to cash it out. That was enough to make it a federal case. Now it wasn't just Nevada, it was the US government breathing down Morikawa's neck. They raided the garage again, this time with federal agents, took more samples, interviewed neighbors, dug into Morikawa's financials. Every hidden dollar, every fake chip, every paint order, nothing escaped scrutiny. The trial began in late 2006. The prosecution painted Morikawa as the mastermind, a manipulator, a man who exploited a vulnerable ex-convict to orchestrate a massive fraud. They brought in casino security experts to testify about the damage his operation could have caused. If this had gone unchecked, it could have cost us tens of millions. And if other criminals had learned how to do what he did, the entire casino industry would have been at risk. Morikawa's defense team tried to push back. They portrayed him as a desperate man who snapped under financial pressure, a victim of circumstance, a blue-collar worker pushed to the edge. They even showed pictures of his kids trying to humanize him. But the evidence was overwhelming. Dozens of fake chips, surveillance footage, the blackmail incident, the UV markers, the printer setups, the hidden garage lab, and Jeremy, who eventually took a plea deal and agreed to testify. His testimony sealed the case. In early 2007, Eric Morikawa was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison for counterfeiting, fraud, and conspiracy. Jeremy got 8 years, reduced for cooperation. And just like that, 2 regular guys who once worked construction were locked away like drug kingpins. Their story sent shockwaves through the casino industry. The Nevada Gaming Commission ramped up its chip security protocols. Casinos invested millions in newer RFID technologies and hired forensic engineers to test the counterfeit resistance of their chips. Morikawa's case was taught in casino security seminars as a cautionary tale. It became a legend, a real-life Ocean's 11 with no happy ending. But there's one final twist. In 2019, after serving 12 years, Morikawa was released from prison. He moved to Colorado under a new name, working odd jobs, kept a low profile, no interviews, no tell-all books, just vanished. Jeremy? He got out 2 years earlier. He's reportedly living somewhere in the Midwest, under supervision, working a 9-to-5. They haven't spoken since prison. But insiders say Morikawa still gets mail. Letters from all over the world, some calling him a criminal, others calling him a genius. Because love it or hate it, what he pulled off was extraordinary. 2 broke men, with nothing but grit, paint, and a printer, nearly brought the casino capital of the world to its knees. And that is the story of Eric Morikawa, a man who beat Vegas until Vegas beat him back. Let us know what you think in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell if you want more deep dives into the forces reshaping our world.